Warning: the following episode contains sensitive content that may be harmful or disturbing to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone from Unsigned Pop Punk. I'm Patrick Tarnowski. With me, my longtime good friend, the Durango, Joe Alspa, Jay Lewis, and this is Classified Rockuments, a show about crazy murders, crimes, and the paranormal in the music world, where we talk about the facts, try to decode any conspiracies, and just have a creepy good time.
It's creepy. It's
creepy and
it's always a little creepy.
It's creepy and it's a time. Today we got a good story. It's gonna be a long story. I haven't gone through this whole story yet.
That always makes me a little nervous because I know that Jason wrote it, so
yep.
We're gonna.
I do the research. Jason does the double research.
I doubled down on research for sure.
Doubles down on the research, and we get some good stuff for you. You got your notepad ready?
I've got my notepad. I am ready to dissect the case.
Do you know what a specter is?
The ghost.
It's a ghoul. Yes.
Ghoul. Yes.
Okay.
Is there a difference?
That has nothing to do with Phil Spector, who we're going to be talking about today.
A difference between
Phil
a ghoul and a ghost?
Between a ghoul and a ghost? I believe a ghoul is
bad ghost.
Yeah, like a naughty ghost.
Bad ghost.
Naughty. A ghoul. Yeah.
Arr.
Yeah, like cause just ghosts are just, dead spirits. Ether worlds.
Got it.
Ghouls and demons. Oh, that's the other side of the ghost spectrum.
Well, I asked.
There's a whole battle of ghosts. It's ghouls versus ghosts all day.
Ghouls and Goblins.
Mostly it's
Nintendo game. Wait. Ghosts and Goblins? Phil Spector. To know him, it is to be screamed at, emotionally abused, and shot at by him. Does all the talent
How do
in
you
the
spell Spector?
You got one sentence in.
Well, sound it out, buddy. Sound it out.
There's a lot of options here.
S-P-E-C.
I got that part. C. Okay.
C, yeah. T-O-R.
Spector.
Does all the talent in the...
It's spelled with a P-H.
It is, yes. His name is F-I-L-L, Phil Spector.
That's why he sucks later in life. You gotta grow with that shit.
I want you to see this, because, right out the gate, he looks like James Bond.
He looks like fucking...
James Bond, for sure.
I suppose. He does not look like James Bond. He's the shittiest. He's like Wish Bond.
Well, he was James Bond before Sean Connery. The first Bond.
Okay.
He really wasn't, but... That's what he looks like. Does all the talent in the world of a music production allow you to be a miserable egomaniac that alienates, offends, and would legit wildly fire his always with him handguns at people? Maybe. Phil Spector.
Shot people a lot?
We're going to find out.
Oh.
Phil Spector was an above and beyond weirdo. But he did give us some of the biggest hits the world has known. His industry-changing wall of sound technique just keeps giving. Hits like Da Do Ron Ron. Oh, I remember that. Da Do Ron Ron Ron.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he Kissed Me by the Crystals. Be My Baby by the Ronettes. You've Lost That Loving Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. Let It Be by the Beatles. And John Lennon's Imagine. Harvey Phillip Spector was born in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Yep.
H.
HPS. Harvey Phillip Spector was born in Los Angeles, California. Wikipedia says he was born in 1939, and other sites say 1940, so we'll go with 1940.
1940, you say?
1940. December 1940. World War II was raging with the Southampton
December
Blitz.
1940?
December 1940.
So
Southampton
he was
Blitz.
born.
In the chaos.
He was born. Okay.
Yeah, he was
Was
born.
he born in December?
He was born in 40. Like
1940.
Got it. So,
But in December 1940, World War II was raging with the Southampton Blitz, which is a heavy bombing of Southampton by the Nazi German Luftwaffe? Luftwaffe? No, I don't know. I mean, they're Nazis, so.
I don't speak German.
Luftwaffe.
Luftwaffe. And the Liverpool Blitz, aka the Christmas Blitz. 1940 was mostly about people bombing the shit out of each other.
It's true.
The next notable blitz would happen 33 years later with the sweet smash hit, the Ballroom Blitz, followed by 1997's NFL Blitz.
That was
They're all their blitzes.
directly following. Okay.
Follow along, all right?
Holy shit. Okay, hold on.
Keep it together.
So, first it was, what kind of, like, run me through the Blitz timeline again.
1940 was mostly about bombing the shit out of each other. The next notable blitz would happen 33 years later with the sweet smash hit, the Ballroom Blitz, followed by 1997's NFL Blitz.
Alright, so we got that established. You may continue.
The world chilled out on the bombing for one day. December 1st, 1940, Richard Pryor was born. People all around the world celebrated December 2nd. World War II would pick back up because Hitler was a massive prick. Hitler would continue his dickish ways for 4.5 more years until a little Richard Pryor would talk Adolf into how cool it would be if he killed himself in a bunker.
Okay.
Little known fact I'm surprised you didn't know about.
I'm gonna put that in the not true. I'm gonna take a stab and say that that's not factual.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you'd most likely be right. Phil Spector was an American record producer and songwriter, best known for his innovative recording practices and entrepreneurship in the 1960s, followed decades later by his 2 trials and conviction for murder in the 2000s. Spector developed, as we talked about earlier, the Wall of Sound, a production style that is characterized for its diffusion of tone, colors, and dense orchestral sound. Phil Spector is widely regarded as one of the most influential figures in pop music history and one of the most successful producers of the 1960s. Described by the writer Tom Wolfe as the first tycoon of teen. There had been producers since the beginning of the record industry, but none had assumed the degree of control demanded by Spector. In April 1949, Spector's father, who was deeply in debt, committed suicide after talking to a now 9-year-old Richard Pryor.
I can't hold that.
Oh no! I just realized. See, I'm a lot of times I'm writing notes so fast that like it takes a second and I'm buffering and like, it gets there eventually.
It got there.
I
Yeah.
forgot about all this.
Okay, hold on now. So
1949, Spector's father was deeply in debt, committed suicide. On his gravestone were inscribed the words, Ben Spector, father, husband, to know him was to love him. In 1953, Spector's mother moved the family to Los Angeles, where she found work as a seamstress. Spector attended John Burroughs Junior High School, now known as John Burroughs Middle School, on Wilshire Boulevard. Then, in 1954, transferred to Fairfax High School. He joined a loose-knit community of aspiring musicians, including Lou Adler, Bruce Johnston, Steve Douglas, and Sandy Nelson. Spector formed a group, the Teddy Bears.
okay,
In
sounds cuddly.
In 1958, the Teddy Bears recorded the Spector-penned Don't You Worry, My Little Pet, and then signed a 2 to 3 singles recording deal with Era Records, with the promise of more if the singles did well. At their next session, they recorded another song Spector had written. This one inspired by the epitaph on Spector's father's tombstone, To Know Him Is to Love Him reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart on December 1st, 1958, selling over 1 million copies by the year's end. Following the success of their debut, the group signed with Imperial Records. Their next single, I Don't Need You Anymore, reached number 91.
Jeez.
They released several more recordings, including an album, The Teddy Bears Sing. They released several more recordings, including an album, The Teddy Bears Sing. They released several more recordings, including an album, The Teddy Bears Sing, but failed to reach the top 100 in U.S. sales. The group disbanded in 1959.
Wow, okay.
In 1960, after hanging out with his now good friend Richard Pryor for about a year,
Oh no.
the two started getting into some trouble. Phil Spector and Richard Pryor are framed for a bank robbery and end up in West Ern's prison in Arizona. Phil Spector and Richard Pryor, Eastern boys, were having difficulty adjusting to the new life in prison until the warden
Is this true?
finds out
Oh my gosh.
that Phil
I have
Spector
no idea.
has a natural talent for riding broncos with the inter-prison rodeo coming up. Phil had different and bigger plans set, so he said, fuck that. Phil Spector and Richard Pryor broke out of prison. They knew they
The
had
horses?
to... Huh? What?
Were they on horses?
They were horses.
They were horses? Oh my gosh.
Phil had different and bigger plans set, so he said, fuck that. Phil Spector and Richard Pryor broke out of prison. They knew they had to Fleetwood Mac it and go their own ways. So they did. After busting loose, Richard Pryor bounced around, never finding which way is up. He did have a silver streak in 1976 where he found himself staying at a
like references?
California suite after being some kind of hero working blue collar at a car wash. Richard Pryor felt like the toy during those Harlem nights, but he always tried to see no evil, hear no evil. And after moving, he won it big after receiving Brewster's Millions, Superman 3.
Those are all of his movies.
Oh my god. Alright.
And the whole prison thing is the plot to Stir Crazy.
Okay. I was like, is that see no evil, hear no evil, or hear no evil, see no evil?
I remember that one.
I just took Gene Wilder out and put Phil Spector in.
Okay. Phil Spector co-founded Phillies Records and at the age of 21 became the youngest ever U.S. label owner to that point. Spector became to be considered the first auteur of the music industry for the unprecedented control he had over every phase of the recording process. He produced acts such as the Ronettes, the Crystals, and Ike and Tina Turner, and typically collaborated with arranger Jack Nietzsche and engineer Larry Levine.
Okay.
The musicians from his de facto house brand, later known as The Wrecking Crew, rose to industry fame through his hit records. Already something of a recluse, he withdrew temporarily from the public eye, marrying Veronica Ronnie Bennett, lead singer of the Ronettes, in 1968. Spector emerged briefly for a cameo as himself in an episode of I Dream of Jeannie, and as a drug dealer in the film Easy Rider. In early 1970s, Spector began working with the Beatles on the post-production of their final record, Let It Be. Released a month after the Beatles' breakup, the album topped the US and UK charts.
In what year?
1970. It also yielded the number 1 US single, The Long and Winding Road. Spector's overdubbing of The Long and Winding Road infuriated its composer, Paul McCartney. Several music critics also maligned Spector's work on Let It Be. He later attributed this party to resentment that an American producer appeared to be taking over such a popular English band. Lennon defended Spector, telling Jan Wenner of Rolling Stone He was given the shittiest load of badly recorded shit with a lousy feeling toward it ever. And he made something out of it. He did a great job. Spector once fired his gun in the studio towards John Lennon, destroying the thermostat next to Lennon's head. Lennon responded with, "Hey, I don't mind if you kill me, but I need my ears. Please knock it off."
That is a real story.
Okay. I believe it.
I believe it too.
Hey, I don't mind if you kill me, but I need my ears. Please knock it off. Spector continued working with Lennon and Harrison on solo works throughout the early 70s. As the 70s progressed, Spector became increasingly reclusive. The most probable and significant reason for his withdrawal, according to biographer Dave Thompson, was that in 1974 he was seriously injured when he was thrown through the windshield of his car in a crash in Hollywood. Spector was almost killed, and it was only because the attending police officer detected a faint pulse that Spector was not declared dead at the scene. He was admitted to the UCLA Medical Center on the night of March 31st, suffering serious head injuries that required several hours of surgery, with over 300 stitches to his face and more than 400 to the back of his head. That is so many stitches.
I don't even know how you fit 300 stitches in your head.
That's all of the
It
stitches.
does explain his later look.
His head injuries, Thompson suggests, were the reason that Spector began his habit of wearing outlandish wigs in his later years.
Oh, that wasn't his hair?
Oh, I didn't realize that because there's even a
He
joke.
chose that?
Several different ones.
He chose several different looks. Spector remained inactive throughout most of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. In early 1981, shortly after the death of John Lennon, he temporarily reemerged to co-produce Yoko Ono's Season of Glass.
Oh, no.
In 1989, Tina Turner inducted Spector into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a non-performer. Rolling Stone reported, Spector hit the stage bopping madly to the strains of the Ronettes' Be My Baby, flanked by 3 beefy bodyguards who practically elbowed Tina out of the way. He mumbled a few incoherent words about George Bush and the presidential inauguration, and then his bodyguards carried him away again.
Damn.
14 years later, Spector shot actress Lana Clarkson, a nightclub hostess whom he had taken to his home after a night of drinking, in the mouth while in his mansion, the Pyrenees Castle.
Oh, shot her in the mouth.
He shot her in the mouth.
It was a badly formed sentence.
Yeah, it was really long to get to that point.
It was a roller coaster.
It was.
That was me trying to put a lot of information in one sentence.
Yeah. His mansion was called the Pyrenees Castle in Alhambra, California. Her body was found slumped in a chair with a single gunshot wound to her mouth. Spector told Esquire,
Single gunshot wound to her mouth?
her mouth, shot to the mouth.
How do you shoot someone in the
Somehow.
mouth? No,
That
but,
needs
like,
to be a scene right there.
how do you shoot someone in the mouth?
Well, yeah, perfect.
I mean, that's through the head, though.
Yeah,
Well,
she didn't walk away from this.
I assume not, but I'm just arguing that it's not easy or possible to shoot someone in the mouth.
well, here.
Specifically.
Now hold up. If you listen, okay? Let's get to the
You
guts.
shoot them through the mouth.
Let's keep going.
Why is this the biggest problem?
I know.
Okay, hold on.
So Phil Spector told Esquire in July 2003 that Clarkson's death was an accidental suicide, and that she
Who told this? Who said this?
Phil, and that she kissed the gun. No one believed Spector on the account that he had not talked to Richard Pryor in decades. I just gotta stop and just look at him. Just stop and look at him.
That's a lot of this building.
The emergency call from Spector's home, made by Spector's driver, Adriano De Souza, quotes Spector as saying, "I think I killed somebody," which is slightly different than someone being the rudest house guest of all time. Comes over, shoots herself in the mouth, That's a big slap in the tits of the host.
Giant
big ol'-
slap in the tits.
That's a big old slap to the tits right there. D'Souza also added that he saw Spector come out of the back door of the house with a gun in his hand. However, Spector...
Gun, I say.
Yeah, a gun.
Yeah.
That guy. Phil Spector with the gun, huh?
Always has a gun.
Who'd have known? Who'd have saw that coming?
D'Souza.
Walking away from
Just paying attention.
D'Souza.
walking away from a recently shot face,
Yeah.
holding a gun, saying, "She did it."
Yeah. However, Spector later stated that the actress's death was an accidental suicide. Spector testified in a 2005 court deposition that he had been treated for bipolar disorder for 8 years, saying, "No sleep, depression, mood changes, mood swings, hard to live with, hard to concentrate, just hard. A hard time getting through life. I've been called a genius, and I think a genius is not there all the time and has borderline insanity." On March 19th, 2007, Spector's murder trial begins. Presiding Judge Larry Paul Fidler allowed the proceedings in Los Angeles Superior Court to be televised on Court TV. Spector pleaded not guilty to the charges. Following Spector's indictment on second-degree murder charges, his case experienced a series of delays before opening statements finally began on April 25th, 2007. During the high-profile trial, defense attorneys argued that at the time of Clarkson's death, the tall blonde actress was depressed over the state of her failing career and troubled personal life and therefore killed herself. The prosecution, in turn, put several female witnesses on the stand who testified about Spector's history of violence toward women. They all immediately shot themselves in the mouth.
What?
What?
Okay. Okay.
That's obviously a joke.
Right.
Yes.
Right. It just,
I had to change it to mouth because I thought he fixated so hard on that.
Got it. What did it say?
Face.
Face.
Yeah. Throughout the trial, Spector appeared in court sporting flamboyant outfits and an array of dramatic hairstyles. Defense expert and forensic pathologist Vincent DeMaio said that Spector might be suffering from Parkinson's disease, stating, "Look at Mr. Spector. He's got Parkinson's features. He trembles." The judge replied,
Why is the lawyer Christopher Walken? Look at him, my defendant.
"Look at the..."
He trembles. Can't hold himself still.
The judge replied, "The people looking at him, they tremble."
So the people have Parkinson's too.
The people have Parkinson's as well,
That's
apparently.
a way to add that up.
Yep.
Everyone's down with the sickness.
Closing argument.
It's such a dumb thing, but yeah. Okay.
Closing arguments in Spector's trial were made on September 7th, 2007. On September 26th, the jury announced it was deadlocked, voting 10-2 in favor of conviction, and unable to reach a verdict, and the judge declared a mistrial. The retrial of Phil Spector for murder in the second degree began on October 20th, 2008, with Judge Fidler again presiding. The retrial was not televised. Spector once again represented by attorney Jennifer Lee Beringer. The case went to the jury on March 26, 2009, and 18 days later, on April 13th, the jury returned a guilty verdict. Additionally, he was immediately taken into custody and on May 29, 2009, was sentenced to 19 years to life in the California state prison system. Various attempted appeals were unsuccessful in 2011, 2012, and 2016. California Department of Corrections photos from 2013 released in September 2014 show evidence of a progressive deterioration in Spector's health.
Ugh.
Spector died in an outside hospital on January 16, at the age of 81 years old.
He died outside the hospital?
Outside
Yeah, in
hospital.
an outside hospial.
In an outside hospital?
Yeah, like not like it's not like somebody's
Like MASH?
The New York Times and Rolling Stone magazine were like, you know, like this dude like shot at a bunch of people,
Got one for sure.
loved guns,
Loved guns.
loved shooting them at people.
He was like
Went
a real
absolute-
life fucking. What's the guy who was always trying to like hunt Bugs Bunny?
Not Elmer Fudd.
Not Elmer Fudd. The other one. What? Yosemite Sam.
Having all of this like information and stuff, and then Rolling Stone and you know, New York Times are just like, yeah, he did fucked up shit, but it's like, man, he was marred by that, you know, like he killed somebody, but like he made some good music.
Who doesn't like to kill someone every once in a while?
Yeah, you just kill somebody. It's not big,
Right?
Just kill someone. So Joe, let's see what Joe's knows. What's your take?
I don't know. Like I thought that I was being pretty boring, but then I started like catching words as I was going back, so I really don't know what we're gonna get into.
The funny thing about this will be the fact that he's like, I thought it was being pretty boring, but I really Phil Spectored my way through this. Just as it goes, it gets crazier and crazier.
All right, Harvey Phillip Spector. One of the first things I wrote down was gun enthusiast. I'm finding that to be true.
Yeah, and gun enthusiast. First thing he writes down.
Yeah.
We're not even that far.
No,
like, we started.
We've been talking about this for almost an hour now. He likes his guns. So, engineer, creator of the Wall of Sound, born in 1940, in La La Land.
Yeah, what does that say? Dandalorian?
Da do ron ron.
Okay.
Okay. There was the Blitz series. We had
The series.
the Sofa Blitz.
Blitz.
I can't.
Yeah.
Soldier Blitz.
Soja Boy.
The Liverpool Blitz, the Ballroom Blitz, and NFL Blitz.
3 of those are correct.
Yeah.
Soja Boy.
What does that say? Soha.
Soha.
Southampton.
Oh. Oh, okay.
1960s, 2000s murder.
Throat enthusiast.
Tom Wolfe Teen Tycoon.
Tom Wolfe Teen Tycoon.
I can't remember what that means either.
I don't know these all.
I must have been writing.
Yeah, you must have been trying to been writing.
4 pages. I hope so.
Okay, so this I don't know. April 1949. Speeders, maybe.
It looks like it's Spederz.
Father suicide.
It's like Father Time, but Phil Spector is Father Suicide apparently.
Richard Pryor.
I thought it was
I wrote him down.
Mm-hmm.
1954-ish. Don't You Pet Me hit.
I don't think that was a song. Don't you pet me.
Don't you bet me it.
I mean, like thinking about like later on in his life, you know, could have been a really like appropriate song for Phil Spector. Sounds like the kind of guy that would want to pet you.
He was a pet boy.
Heavy petter.
He was a heavy petter. Don't you pet me hit.
Don't you worry, my little pet.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, yeah.
There we go.
I'll try to follow along.
Okay.
All right, so made that hit. 1958, Imperial Records. 1959, band is disbanded. So almost 5 years.
Yeah.
For Teddy Bears.
Mm-hmm.
He robs a bank with Richard Pryor,
Yep.
and that's real.
No.
No?
No, that's not real. That's not
Okay, Jesus. I was gonna say. Well, I don't know.
I don't think they knew each other.
No.
Well, see that was another part that surprised me too. I was like, what? Why would?
They know each other. Or
How have I
around.
not heard about the infamous duo of Phil Spector and Richard Pryor?
Being horses escaping prison.
Right. I suppose that should have tipped me off.
Being horses and
That was my next note actually too. Rob's bank in Arizona with Phil Spector as horses left prison home free.
Home free.
As horses left prison, home free. There's a new sweatshirt.
Sounds like a 90s movie. 1967, Phil hates music.
Yeah.
Marries Ronnie Spector. I dream of drugs. You must have said something about I dream of Jeannie.
Well, again.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
why were we talking about I dream of Jeannie again?
Because he
There's a
did a
cameo.
cameo of I Dream of Jeannie. But why? What is it?
What?
Yeah, he did a cameo.
Phil Spector was popular enough to be a guest on TV shows.
And in the movie Easy Rider.
And then I wrote he chose his hair,
Yeah.
which I think is a really important detail.
It is.
If anything signals how crazy this dude was.
He chose that. Chose that
I
look.
want to see the room in his house where he kept all of it.
Oh
That
my
must be
God.
terrifying.
He had to
Oh
have
my
had a
God.
wig room.
14 years later,
Yeah.
on Pat Day,
On that
he
day.
shot Lana Clarkson.
Yeah.
He shot her through the mouth hole.
Through the mouth hole. Yeah.
That's Lana Clarkson.
Yeah.
Okay. Driver said Phil had his gun again. $1 million bail.
Mm-hmm.
And then testified Phil hard constantly.
Hard to live, hard to concentrate, just hard.
Yeah,
There
hard.
it is.
A hard
constantly.
time getting
Hard
through.
constantly.
Thank you,
Phil
Phil.
hard
Constantly.
Phil was hard constantly. Got it.
And insane all the time.
Yep.
Down with the sickness.
Yeah.
He does look down with the sickness. Those eyes are like
Those
a
are
mile
black
deep.
as shit.
He looks like he looks like he belongs in a who makes those dark movies with Johnny Depp.
Oh, he
Oh,
looks
Tim
like
Burton.
Tim Burton.
He
in
looks like a
Heroin.
Tim Burton character. Closing argument, mistrial.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez lawyer.
No.
I don't remember her name, but I was
Close
trying.
enough.
No, we're leaving it close enough.
April 13th, Phil loves his gun.
Finally, he admits it.
Finally.
And then he got the vid.
Got the vid.
That's all I've got.
What does got the vid mean?
He got COVID.
COVID.
Oh, we got the vid.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, well, that was learning.
That's a
Sorry.
long review. But with that, thanks, Joe, for hanging out. We did it.
We
Jay,
we got to the bottom of it.
we did. Jay, thanks for hanging out and for, doing all the research, the secondhand research
It's like a hand
and script writing. This has been another episode of Classified Rockuments. And we'll get into some more weird shit later.
We shall.
See you next time.
Well,